We have a veritable pastiche of subjects for you today. Before we begin, let me remind you of something. This evening, late tonight, early tomorrow, Saturday, this is the overnights from 2 to 6, which is weird, which is Saturday morning, but you think of it as late Friday. It's the strange. I've had more people say, when are you on? Saturday, 2 a.m. to 6, WABC, talking about an overnight crew in the best city in the world with some of the you know what the guy did on the 6 train, right? I can't even talk about it. This is the demented world we live in. So in any event, so it's on 77 WABC tonight, 2 a.m. Actually, tomorrow morning. This is the weirdest thing. 2 a.m. to 6. We'll have all of that. By the way, all those things made available for you and all this stuff and blah blah blah. Okay. I want to talk to you about this tragedy that happened over the Hudson. Yesterday, Mrs. L and I are looking out the window, and we can see on the Hudson River down there, and it's around the corner. There's buildings and things, but it's across from Jersey City, across from the Houston side. But this tragedy, this awful story of this family that died, and we don't know all of the specifics, of this. Here's one that I read today, which is the newest one. The owner of the New York City helicopter tour company claimed the doomed chopper. Who writes this? This is from the New York Post. Nicholas McIntyre. The doomed chopper was en route back to base to refuel before crashing into the Hudson River, killing all 6 on board, including a family of 5. The New York Helicopter Tour CEO Michael Roth said the pilot of the aircraft had radioed about needing more fuel minutes before the tourist chopper plunged into the murky water. Who writes like this? Murky, doom. What is this? Some kind of a creative writing exposition? Just tell me what happened. The dark, dank, inky Davy Jones locker. I mean, come on. Quote, he, the pilot, called in that he was landing and that he needed fuel, and it should have taken him about 3 minutes to arrive. But 20 minutes later, he didn't arrive. Now, that doesn't mean he was out of fuel. That doesn't mean that was the cause. It means he was coming in to refuel, or he was low, or whatever it is. But they're making it sound like this guy, and by the way, this chopper pilot, I think is black. Not that it makes any difference, but people are going to be saying, you watch DEI. You know this is coming, right? You know this is coming without knowing anything. So Agustin Escobar, his wife, Merce Camprubi Montal, and their 3 children were killed along with an unidentified pilot. Escobar was a global CEO of rail infrastructure at Siemens Mobility, while his wife has worked as a global commercialization manager for energy technology company Siemens Energy. 4 victims were pronounced dead at the scene, and 2 more were declared dead at the hospital. More New York Times. Gut-wrenching photos on the New York Helicopter Tour's website shows Escobar, Montal, and their children smiling in front of their Bell 2064 long, whatever. Roth said he learned about the tragedy from one of his workers because we were wondering where did these pictures come from. Then one of my pilots flew over the Hudson and saw the helicopter upside down. It says it's devastation. It's horrible. They don't know what happened. Did the rotor come off? We'll get to the bottom of this. There is a concept called race, depending upon where you're from, ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself, which means that you can sometimes, in different circumstances, presume negligence, as is the case here. You can presume negligence. This to me is devastating because I'm thinking, and some chidrulo on X because of these stupid trolls. I said, this is such a haunting thing. Somebody says, why? Why? Because on social media, people have to respond. They have to say something. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it makes sense or if it's heartless or if it's good or bad. They just have to say something. They always have to respond. This is just it's one of those things. It's also people who aren't funny. And people who have no sense of humor, no perspective, that they're not thinkers, but they have this. And it's a way of saying, hey, over here, look, I'm saying something. Ha, ha, ha. I'm going to make a pun. I'm going to, you know what I mean? But there's nothing you can do about it. But there's no class in the world. There's no smarts. There's no depth. No, and that's, oh my God, you have no idea. I did a series today of videos, which you'll see later, about a variety of topics. And you're going to really get a kick out of this. And I found that people are not good thinkers. Give you an example. There's one that says, Douglas Murray is asking, why does Joe Rogan, or why doesn't Joe Rogan put more pro-Israeli opinions on his show? And Joe said, I don't know. And I realized that's a great question. But you're never going to get an answer for that. You're never going to get an answer for that. He has this guy, what's his name? Doug Smith or Dave Smith, who, by the way, did the worst. Is it Dave Smith? Am I right with him? Is his name Dave Smith? I thought he was such a smart guy. Absolute imbecile. Yes, Dave Smith. He was on with Lex Friedman. An imbecile. I couldn't believe it. It's like, why did you do this? He's great when he's cross-examining an imbecile, but when you're making your position, and Douglas Murray, so you have two. Anyway, so I was thinking about this, and if I could be the judge of this, I would say, and by the way, this is just an extended example of what I'm saying. It's almost an analogy or a metaphor, if you will. I said, they don't owe, Joe Rogan doesn't owe anybody anything. He's not a news network. And even if he was a news network, he doesn't have to put on pro-Israeli, whatever that means. And Max Blumenthal doesn't have to put on pro-Israeli either if he doesn't want to. It's not a news show. And even if it was a news show, you don't have to put anything on. Nothing. But we live in a world of this and this. And I could walk into the Douglas Murray crowd, sit down. I could be I could go to an APAC meeting, describe, say their position 100%. I'd get a standing ovation because I understand what their position is. I could go across the hall, go to a Max Blumenthal gray zone Finkelstein group, and they would give me an applause because I would say exactly, understanding what their position is 100%. Maybe because I'm a lawyer, maybe it's the way I am. I understand things. I understand what you're saying and what you're saying. And sometimes the facts are not very clear. So when I want to talk about this case, I'm trying to find a group of people who really understand the nuances of what today's topic is. And the first one is, do you think there is something ghoulish about how we love to see, hey, let's see that picture of that rotor going off. Would you see that? Pow! Let's see it again. It's the arrow. Pow! It's on a GIF, on a rotate. Pow! Pow! Let's see the pictures. Look at the picture. The ill-fated crew, the doomed chopper. Pow! Is there something wrong with us? Or is it something that's just interesting? We're going to discuss that after this. Are you drowning in debt, struggling with credit cards or medical bills or personal loans? Well, you're not alone. There's help, real help available right now. National Debt Relief is one of the top-rated debt relief companies in America, helping thousands of individuals like you break free from overwhelming financial burdens. For anyone owing over $10,000, National Debt Relief may be able to reduce that debt by up to half or even more. No bankruptcy, no new loans, just a smarter, faster way to financial freedom. Here's how it works. Step 1, you submit the form at No Debt with Lionel. Just go there right now. Step 2, a representative will call within minutes to discuss personalized options. In step 3, they'll create an affordable plan tailored to your individual budget and timeline. Many clients become debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months, paying less than they owe and avoiding years of stress and interest. And the consultation is completely free with no obligation. So what are you waiting for? Why keep dodging calls and watching interest stack up? So go right now to NoDebtWithLionel.com. That's NoDebtWithLionel.com. This could be the turning point, the step toward peace of mind, control, and a fresh start. NoDebtWithLionel.com. Go now. What do you think it was like for these people in the last moments on this planet? When you see this, you're aware that you obviously were aware of your fate. You knew you were falling. You knew what was happening. It wasn't quick. It didn't explode in the air. It was there was this, obviously, the reaction, the spinning upside down, this notion of terror. Is it best, if you can say such a thing, that at least they were all together? Does that even make any sense? How do we as a people handle grief? Is there something wrong with our ghoulish foray into breaking everything down, every moment? Here's a reconstruction. This is what happened here. Or is it just, no, this is just interest? They'll be forgotten by Monday. There's nothing really to do. I mean, nobody really was at fault. This was not sabotage or anything along those lines. I don't know what this is going to do. I can tell you, on the west side, as you know, in Manhattan, as they say, on the west side, you got the Hudson River. On the east side, you got the East River. And on the Hudson River, you've got more. There's a heliport here, and there's the Chelsea Piers here. There's more activity. They even had a circus, like a trapeze. I don't even know if it's still there, but you could learn circus. I mean, it's a lot of activity. You see helicopters all the time, all over the place. So it's something which is rather ubiquitous. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more. They go up to the George Washington Bridge, turn around and come back. And is there any fate? Think of the questions. Think of the questions. Is it fate? Could not God have prevented something from happening? Is it fair to bring this up when they were praying? I've always asked people this. I love to ask religious people, what do you think about this? They go, well, it's a good question. Or they'll say, no, but is it a part of a plan? When they were born, was it predetermined? Did the heavens or God or whatever know? This will be their fate. This will happen. When you are in your last throes, when you realize this is could very well be the end. What I think happens and I found this interesting, is I think you go into a sense, almost reptilian, mammalian, you go into a complete and total freak out. It's almost paralytic. Some might scream, some might, it depends. You never know what you're going to do until you're there. You might just be frozen. Your brain is processing so much, so fast, so quickly, so inordinately fast. And you are doing everything. I think mothers and fathers, mothers are thinking more about children because of this connection. There was a book called How We Die by Sherwin Newland, Victoria Newland's father, who was a surgeon at Yale, is a professor. And he said that when you drown, he believes that, and it happened to him, he was either going to die until somebody resuscitated him, but there is a calm. And people have suggested that people who are drowning, for some reason, you get into this weird calm. It's not panic. And some can, as we do, we will normally fill in the blanks. We will say, it's calm because it's a return to the amniotic fluid. It's a return to the womb, a return to the sea, return. They'll just make things up because we, as you know, humans, love to make things have a purpose. And we will create a purpose, even if it doesn't exist. We will create a purpose. We will give things meaning. And we will create these feelings, even though none exist at all. When you are in the position of knowing you're dying, or in a kind of an overload, I will tell you that when I was, the first time I did skydiving twice. The first time was a tandem in Zephyr Hills. And the second one was AFF level 1, where I did a solo. Tandem is definitely the way to go. And I remember at the time, I was absolutely in love with something which I've never felt before in my life. It was a sense of adrenaline like I never thought possible. Never. It was something that it was there for hours. We were so potentially. I remember afterwards, we went to a place on Dale may recall it, Proud Lion Pub in Dalmel. And we were, pardon me, I'm not proud of this, pounding them just to get back to earth. Had anybody tried to confront us, I think we would have been extremely violent and berserker. It showed me something I never thought. I've never been in a position before where I was in a sensory overload. Never. And I'm thinking, I wonder if this is like this. Because when you go out of a plane and you are dealing with this, you have all of this stuff. Your brain says, I know where I am. I'm falling, but I don't feel like I'm falling. I feel like I'm flying. It's very cold, very loud. You have a thing on you to cover your ear because it's very, very loud. Some people don't use it, some people do. You are processing what's happening, but you're not able to really process it. You do, but you don't. And it's just the wildest thing. It's the best thing I ever did, and it was all natural. No drugs, no nothing. And when you finally, when you drop, you jump at 13,500, you go 9,000 feet. Then a 4500, look at your altimeter. You pull it because you go a little higher. And the chute opens. You're here. The tandem guy's behind you. I did South African. I got the picture up here. The guy's behind me. You pull the ripcord or the toggles to open up the flare. And then there is something that you cannot put this into words. You are flying. I mean, you are dropping them, but it is so quiet. There's no noise. You can come behind somebody. They can't hear you. I mean, you make no noise. It's just, and you have always been in planes before. You've looked down to see your feet and the ground way down. It's so much is going through you. Your mind. It's just like trying to process it. It was wild. It's so quiet. And you're talking to the guy, man, this is pretty good. And then when you're down, you realize, okay, it'll never happen again. It's like if you try to do drugs, whatever your first time is using a drug, from what I've read, kids, a lot of good books on the subject. The first line, the first whatever, it's like, wow. And then you say, you're always chasing it, chasing that feeling, chasing that. So I'm always interested in finding out what people go through when they realize they're dying. And then you find out later on that they're not going to die. What did you think? Did your life pass before you? All of that crazy stuff that you hear about. Is it cliched? Is there something to that? You don't know what you're going to do. When people say that in war, people would sometimes call out for their mother, I always thought that was a bit odd. He said, it's true. People who weren't necessarily that close to their mother, but for some reason reverting to a time almost, I don't want to say mammalian, reflexive, whatever you want to call it. What do you realize when you feel you are going and you realize this is going to happen? Let it be. I don't know if you've been thinking this. Let it be quick. And later, one would hope that by virtue of the percussion, you're just knocked out. You're whatever it is, that there's some kind of mercy. And this family all together disappeared theoretically, simultaneously. I've been thinking about this. That family will never be ever again. And they didn't know this. And they were so happy. And they just got here. Okay, that's that. How do we handle this? Are we ghoulish? I don't think we are, per se. I just think we're fascinated by it. We want to see it. We don't see helicopters fall from just like we had in the Hudson. Speaking of the Hudson, when Sully hit up, not too far from us, you could look outside and there it is. Who would not find that interesting? Who would not find that interesting? And this is why it's so interesting. This is why it's so fascinating to me. The reaction that we have to it, and also, what's the proper way to deal with it? Yesterday, everybody came out of the woodwork covering this. Everybody. They stopped everything they're doing. Breaking news. Ding, 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 ding. Tragedy and they have to give it a name. They just can't tell you this is what happened. But then again, you're thinking, oh, wait a minute. We're doing a news show. I want to get the word out. I want to give somebody, this is a true story. We're not going to embellish it. What's wrong with making it even more interesting by virtue of the way it's portrayed. And those little kids, those little people, they'll never come back. They're just, and who would have thought? And they were here. It goes to show you how, of course, as you know this, how precocious, how precipitous, how precious, how fleeting life is. There's no guarantee of anything. And it's so interesting for most people to kind of learn from this. What did we learn? What does it tell you? It's so interesting. Nobody ever thought this would be the last time. And I think they're also holding some kind of a, I don't know what they were holding in this picture, but they took that, of course, it got to be litigation and, that usual stuff. Res ipsa loquitur, by the way, is the doctrine where if you have maintained, let me give you this right now. This is the best one. This is for the elements. Res ipsa loquitur. You learn this in torts. And by the way, all tort is a civil wrong versus a crime. And tort comes from the Latin tortius, meaning twisted, like contorted, tortuous, And res ipsa loquitur means the thing speaks for itself. It's also Jonathan Turley's website. It's a doctrine in tort law, civil law, regarding negligence that allows a plaintiff, this is the people, to infer negligence from the very nature of the accident, even if there's no direct evidence. If a plane falls out of the ground, say, how do I know what happened? Was he negligent? You almost say somebody was negligent. And these are the three elements. And everywhere in law, you always have the three elements of everything. Elements of negligence, elements of battery. So the first one is the event that happened must be of a kind that ordinarily does not occur in the absence of negligence. Makes sense. Somebody thought about this. Example, surgical instruments left inside a patient. You just kind of say, you know what? We'll just, normally there is no reason for this. Number two, the instrumentality or the agent causing the injury, whatever it was under the exclusive control of the defendant. In this particular case, the pilot in the company. Nobody else was doing it, he was. The defendant had the sole responsibility for what caused the harm. Nobody else. And number three, the injury was due to any voluntary action or, excuse me, the injury was not due to any voluntary action or contribution by the plaintiff. The plaintiff did not cause or contribute to the harm. When these three are met, the burden then shifts to the defendant to prove that they were not negligent. It's very interesting how this thing works. Because what law is, we take every conceivable thing that can happen between people, and we will break it down into the most logical components you never even thought about. Something like he hit him, and we'll give you four elements, four provisions of this. And then you have to, there's no question about liability here. But it's going to be something to see how this thing works. Our good friend Raul says, there are goats that die when shocked and recover. Well, it's a very interesting thing, and thank you for that. See, Raul always brings us, kind of brings us into that space. The notion of when you die and recover, and when you die. Is it brain dead? Is it heart? We'll talk about that later. But I was looking at this yesterday and thinking to myself, my God, just the horror of this. And they pull and again, it's ghoulish, but it's interesting. They're pulling the debris out, this tangled web, and you see the propeller and the blade. It's fascinating. And it's also, I feel so sad. I look at those people, I'm thinking This is the last thing they ever did. It's the last event. They were so happy. They were on vacation, on holiday. It was the first thing I think they did when they came from, I don't know how long they were going to be here. It was the first thing that they did. And that was it. It's the end of it. And there's going to be all kinds, we're going to be talking about who he is, who he was, because the media, as you know, are going to be going full steam ahead to exploit this. Now, we talked about duties. I just got done doing a video. It's rendering now. It's this thing I've been thinking about Joe Rogan. It's kind of a similar subject. It's sort of connected, this notion of the news, you know. Because what we all do is we all, in essence, swarm over something. We benefit. Those of us in the news commentary business always like to take terrible events and milk it for everything it's worth. Because that's what's interesting. That's what's interesting. So there was this new thing that's going on. I think I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to say it again. What does Joe Rogan have to do? What duty does he have? Does he have to say, hey, Joe, how come you haven't had any pro-Israeli people on your show? Do you have to have that show? Is that important? Is it necessary? That's not fair, Joe. Does Joe have to be fair? And I love the fact I got this Dave Smith guy who says, by the way, what a chidrulo. You know who else is one? I never realized this. This Dave Portnoy. Oh my God. Whew. I know they make money. See, in this country, if you make money, that absolves you of everything. You could be boorish and stupid and vague and daft in any event. But they were talking about this. And I was thinking to myself when watching this, why isn't anyone able to look at something and say, I see both sides? I'm going to ask you something. Can you do that? Can you truly, not that you agree with one, or you say, I have a tendency to see this. Take the Vietnam War. I understood both sides. Doesn't mean one's right or wrong. I understand both sides. The issue then becomes, is it possible, dear friend, is it possible for me to watch what's happening regarding that, and say, yeah, I've got it, but I tend to think this. I think this is the area. I would say to you, no. I guarantee you there is nobody in any newsroom. I never heard it. I never saw it. Anybody who said, we're going to handle this thing classily, we're going to discuss the various sides of it. Never. Absolutely never. Nobody's talking about it. See, it goes back to my contempt for the news. Give you another one. I did listen to my topics today. You're going to love this one. The first one is called Tucker and Alex Jones Reveal the 9/11 Script They Don't Want You to See. Remember, was it called The Lone Gunman? This occurred 3 months or 6 months prior to 9/11. Remember this identical story that presaged, was vatic, pythonic, read the entrails of the beast, so to speak, and nobody in the media ever talked about it. Nobody said how that absolutely called 9/11 perfectly, except in this movie, they thwarted it. This is the most important thing in the world. Then there was this story, listen to this, which was so fascinating. Again, I waste my time because I talk to people and they're looking at me like, uh-huh. If you think the digital surveillance is over with by virtue of President Trump winning, they're doing something in Scotland now which will blow your mind. It's a new form of digital. It's kind of a login that you're going to need for everything, and it's going to have a central source of everything, easily hackable and easily problematic. Then, another thing too, going into Europe, which is interesting, There is a police department in West Yorkshire where white people are told don't apply because of diversity. And I'm going to say this again. I asked my friends, you do know that if ever Trump, well, when Trump reverts, leaves, what am I trying to say? And whoever takes over, if they don't win, this is going to come back like an absolute, it is going to be a fury you can't believe. You do know that, right? They're just waiting for this. A friend of mine explained alcoholism years ago to me as this, in some cases. When you stop drinking, let's say you're not, you just say you're an alcoholic, very serious, and you stop, you go to rehab, you stop. Okay. Your ability, your, what am I saying? Your progression of the disease continues, even though you're not drinking. It almost is like an underground current, so that when you drink again, if you fall off the wagon, so to speak, you will pick up not where you left off, but where you would have been had you continued doing this. So that's what's going to happen if Trump loses. Or excuse me, if the Democrats get back into play. I was trying to explain this to somebody, and they looked at me and they say, I don't know what the hell you're even talking about. They can't grasp it. We're also seeing something which I did. I looked at the number of the distribution of, what am I trying to say? The distribution of trans people in the population. And figured it's between like 0.01 and 0.03%. And we looked at the number of, let's say, people who are, famous and all this other kind of stuff. So by normal distribution provisions, how many people, and by the way, that's transgender adults, transgender children, even less. So using that as a kind of a guide, what do you think would be the usual? What would be the usual amount or the usual distribution of this in a population with, let's assume 1,000, there's 1,000 celebrities, and you would get maybe like three children based upon this distribution. There's 20, 30. So the question remains, then, do you believe that there is this move on the part of the celebrity status to push their children to allege that they have transgender, whatever it is? Do you think that's the case? Or do you believe, for some particular reason or not, do you believe that they just happen to be there? Okay. Everything I've talked about so far, heretofore, of the, I think, 5 topics, the media will never discuss. And when they do discuss something, it's a helicopter accident. It's something that's so obvious, simple, low-hanging fruit. It's one of those things that, and we're seeing right now a revolution that is happening that is so great. This morning I was watching, I don't watch any, I think I might look just to see kind of how bad it is, but I see there's no cable news that I follow. And I was watching everything that I had to watch and follow through this. And what I'm seeing is such a revolution. And when this group of people that is out there, for example, more people know, Dave Smith, I don't want to be mean to him, but I was just so disappointed. But, and same thing with Charles Murray, by the way. This is the Israel, Palestine, this is the debate. These two people, this is it. In any event, the number of people who know about that is absolutely astronomical. If you met this Charles Murray guy, more people know who he is than you would ever imagine. Yet if you meet people, they will say, I don't know who you're talking about. I have no idea who these people are. Which is fine, because remember, if they don't follow it, nobody follows it. So what we're doing right now is we're looking at this, and I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, do you see yourself on the verge of an absolute cataclysm? Oh, and by the way, did you notice how everybody's got tired of the tariffs now? China came back with 150 whatever percent. We did 1 day, 2 days. I think it was the 4th and the 5th. What was it, the 4th and the 5th? Maybe a week ago. That was about it. And we lost any and all discussion of that. It's like, yeah. Well, China came back. Yeah, they sure did, yeah. Georgia Maloney's coming here. Yeah, she sure did. Nobody's even talking about that. So right now, mainstream media are looking around saying, what do we talk about? What are we going to be doing? Where do we go with this? So it is nothing but absolutely fascinating. Fascinating. That's all. That's all. All right, my friends. I've had enough. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. Raul, thank you for your time and your effort and your attention in this. I hope that for the family member, they're sad, but the survivors must be going through an absolute horror. An absolute horror of thinking about that. So that's where we are today. Please follow me at Lionel Nation. Got a lot of videos coming later on today. And until then, my friends, by the way, follow Mrs. L at Lens Warriors. And until we meet each other again later on, remind you always, as we say, the monkey's dead, the show's over, sue you. Dead.